For the last 2,000 years, the Catholic Church has given the gospel to people, but it's not just been that. The Blessed Mother, saints and angels have appeared to Catholics and shown that God is with us directly, visibly, at various times. It's the same as in the Old Testament. For Protestants, the Old Testament is like another world. The miracles happened then, and that's it. Now it's just me and the Bible. That's it. Then it's heaven. But for Catholics, the stuff that happens in the Old Testament happens now. The sun spun at Fatima in Portugal in 1917. The sun spun and came down out of the sky.
So you've got one as well? So the Muslims got split in the moon and you've got the sun came down.
No, the splitting of the moon is in the Holy Quran. This is not in any Quran. This is not in the Bible. This is just 100 plus years ago. Right. During World War I. Seen by 70,000 people. How many saw the sun splitting? How many saw the moon splitting, Mohammed?
No, they probably say those.
No, here's a clue. Here's a clue. It's just another Islamic joke. Another one. You know, with the fishermen and their tails, right? I caught one that big. That's what the splitting of the moon is. It's a big fish like that. Now, the sun spun in Fatima in 1970. I'll tell you how this isn't just a delusion or Catholic made up, because there's a at that time Portugal was ruled by Freemasons, Freemasonic government, and it suppressed the church. It actually was, Michael. It's not mucking about here. This was. This is continental Freemasonry, a nasty kind of Freemason. No, not the same as British, but anyway, they persecuted the church. They came into power in about 1910, and they had a magazine called, well, they had various publications. One was called O Seculo, and the deputy editor there had been putting in these kinds of anti-Catholic articles throughout. From May 1917, when the three peasant children who said they were seeing the Virgin became known in Portugal. So, the deputy editor of O Seculo came to Fatima in October 13th, 1917. Why that date? And why did 70,000 other people do so as well? Because the children had asked the Virgin, or the Virgin had said, look, so that people will know I'm really appearing, I will work a miracle on October the 13th. So vast numbers of people came. And by the way, numerous Catholic priests were telling them to go home. Catholic priests. There's nothing here. Go home. Go home. That's the state of the Catholic priesthood in 1917. Never mind in 2022. And homosexuality promoting priest Father James Martin. The rot has gone all the way back to 1917 and before that, when priests were not even willing to believe that the Blessed Mother could appear. Anyway, that's the priests saying go home to the people. They wouldn't go home. They told the priests to go and sling their hook. Then you got the police. The crowd's too big, but they were harassing the people because they're Masonic police. October 13th. People say they see the sun spinning. The deputy editor of O Seculo converts to the Catholic faith. He says he's seen the sun spin. This is an anti-Catholic, professional anti-Catholic, and he wasn't the only professional anti-Catholic. People also some distance away said they saw this. They weren't even there. Now, obviously, it's God making an optical illusion, or the devil making an optical illusion, because the sun was in the sky still and there wasn't great conflagrations on the earth, but the miracle was seen objectively, so objectively that anti-Catholics converted to the Catholic faith. So you see, the miracles of the Old Testament take place in our New Testament times, but only if you're a Catholic. Prodigies are not limited to that.
Right, so that particular, you said the sun spin.
Yes.
Do you mean that it actually moved or just rotated?
It spun, and then came and moved in a zigzag form down towards the crowd. And people started screaming and sighing. because they thought the sun was going to come at them and kill them. So they're screaming and everything, and then it stops. And still spinning, it goes back to its position. And when it was spinning, loads of different colours were coming off it. And then it stopped and went back to normal. Now, there's an anti-Catholic called Joe Nickell. He's a professional skeptic. He's not actually anti-Catholic. Take that back. He's a skeptic, you know. He looks at claimed miracles and things like this. Shroud of Turin, all that kind of stuff, right? This guy said, what he's looked into, something did happen at Fatima in 1917. He doesn't know what it was, but he believes something definitely happened. So that gives you at least the handle on a skeptic saying something objectively happened. Furthermore, there's an anti-Catholic. Well, he's a Protestant, but I shouldn't say he's anti-Catholic. He's not a friend. He's not a Catholic. He's not like committed to the Catholic faith. He's called Thomas Horn, and he's written loads of books about very interesting stuff. Like in his book Petrus Romanus, he's looking at the prophecy of the popes, given by Saint Malachi 1,000 years ago. Another prodigious thing in the Catholic Church, and he computes from there that Pope Benedict would resign in 2013. No, 2012 he said he'd resign.
Yeah.
Benedict resigned in 2013. Right. People were amazed that because popes haven't resigned for 400 years. But he's working on the basis of Petrus Romanus. Sorry, the basis of St. Malachi's prophecy in his book Petrus Romanus. He just computed the average papacy, the average time span of each papacy. Yeah. He came to this notion. I don't know whether he said he'd resign or would die in office, something like that. He'd cease to be Pope in 2012. Right. He's written other things as well, very interesting stuff. But he said, Thomas Horn said, he thinks what happened at Fatima was extraterrestrials. Now the point is not whether he's right about extraterrestrials, it's this non-Catholic saying something happens, objectively speaking, in 1917 at Fatima. Yeah. What I want the takeaway to be, amongst other things here, is that 3 uneducated peasant children told the people of Portugal to come to this place on October the 13th, 1917, and they would see something, a miracle. Yeah. The fact that that actually happened, whatever that thing was, shows that these children were really in communication with some entity. The question is, what was that entity? Because it did something when it told them it would do something. We say, because what happened from that was huge numbers of conversions. I mean, the Fatima events led to a vast increase of the Catholic faith through the first half of the 20th century. It was really huge. People formed what we call the Blue Army. And you see, the devotion to God would not go on and on increasing, again, in a sense of peace with that antagonism to fellow Christians, go on for half a century because of those events, if it was not from God. Because Satan would be bringing people for half a century to heaven. People would reform their lives.